no man separate. Here's the best part. Will, you may kiss your bride. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor and privilege to introduce to you for the very first time, Mr. and Mrs. Mahler. Come on.
Knock over the whole table. Okay, so anyone who knows me fairly well probably knows that I'm a writer, so being brief for me can be difficult, but I will try for the sake of everybody. And anyone who knows me also knows that my sister and I have the privilege of what I think is probably the most enviable relationship any brother and sister could ask for. If Brian doesn't beat him to the punch, Will probably tell you about the first time he first saw me and Alena. And Will, I promise you, you are not the first, and you will probably not be the last to think that we were a couple. That is to say, she's a lot more to me than just someone who lived in the same house as me for 15 years. The other part of that was in a dance studio, but also fortunately, the man she fell in love with was more than just the slacklining, skateboarding, tatted IT guy that made sure Zoom was working during one of the strangest times of our lives. Yeah, I didn't meet Will under the most normal of circumstances, but I couldn't imagine a better way to meet an extraordinary man than under an extraordinary circumstance. When I came back to Maryland, it felt like everything changed, and yet it was more like coming home than I could have ever anticipated. He fit into our dynamic as if he had been molded to be there. In a lot of ways, I felt like I was late to the party after coming home with him there. Just from my brief mention of a very small portion of his hobbies, you probably deduce that he's a bit of an adventurer. Every time I talk to him, it feels like I've learned something that's changed my entire worldview. When I heard that he had proposed to Alena in Richmond in a Japanese garden, the first thing that came out of my mouth was, "They have those in Richmond?" But the first thing I thought was, that is the most fitting place that could have possibly happened. It might just be me being a writer, but I love the metaphor, and their lives were like a Japanese garden in Richmond. It's so oddly specific, I don't know. And I think it's that ability that both of you have to find the foreign in the familiar, and the adventure in every day that God will use most in both of you. You are two, and eventually perhaps more, gathered in His name. And His blessing is more important than any other blessing you will receive today. But for what it's worth, you have mine as well. To your next adventure, raise the glasses. To your next adventure, and the one after that, and the one after that, may you face them all with your heads held high, your eyes heavenward, and your hands intertwined. To the bride and groom.
All right, that was excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give Jonathan a big round of applause.